Are you aware that the things that were said around you, directly to you, and the environment that you were in formed and cultivated the mindset that you have, not only about reality, but about yourself? Are you consciously aware of the choices that you're making for you, for yourself? Who your number one relationship should be is with self. Are you consciously aware of all the choices and actions that you're making? Are you ordering the foods that you will then regret later and be mad at yourself for eating? Are you spending money in a way where you know you have a bigger goal, but you're redirecting yourself on small speed bumps and hurdles along the way and not getting to your goal? Are you creating a life of toxic relationships and repeating the same partnerships and banging your head against the wall, wondering why things aren't different? I hate to say it, but it's what's in here that's driving the car subconsciously. You may have had an experience in your youth that has catapulted you into a direction that wasn't going to be best for you, and it's locking you, latching you down. It's holding you back from thriving, flourishing. Personally, I was unaware of any of this when I was younger. I came from a very toxic upbringing. I have mommy issues. I've got daddy issues. I've done videos on them. Feel free to binge those older editions. I wanted to chat about how I went from there to here. I worked for my father since the age of 14. I had left living with my mom and alcoholic stepfather. I was chatting with a friend yesterday and I realized I may have never shared the story of my hypnosis journey. I wanted to do a story time with you and explain how I got to where I am. Now, this could be hours of content, so I'm just gonna do the snippets, like the condensed Cliff's Notes of that. At the age of 14, I packed a bag. I said, I deserve better. I don't deserve to be treated the way that I'm being treated, and I walked out. I went to a friend's house. They called my dad. He picked me up, and he said, you work for me now. You have to earn your keep. I'm not just gonna give you money for the movies. You have to have a job. And taught me a lot, taught me how to be successful, taught me how to be a business owner. But obviously I started at 14, and so my pay was comparable to that age. And over the years, I didn't really earn much more. And I, at the age of 28 years old, was making around $28,000 a year. And my father was applauding that, saying, you're so fortunate that I pay you that little, because if I paid you more, the government would take more. He was very good at being manipulative and taking advantage of me. And so I thought that he was being truthful. And he also had said at one point, Lisa, you will never earn more than $40,000 a year. And I thought maybe he was right, but there was something inside of me that knew that something wasn't right here. Here it is, it's your father. It's the only parent that I have in my life at the time. My mom had stopped speaking to me. She was mad that I left, but I was mad that she was letting an alcoholic be abusive, right? So we were estranged, and all I have is this father. I'm, really not wanting to lose that relationship too. So I'm holding on, I'm grasping onto straws, and I stayed. And I finally got a wake-up call from a boyfriend once who was like, you could earn more money. I don't know why you stay there. And I was like, I could? And he was like, of course you could. So that was the catalyst of me changing the direction of my life. That one, chance encounter with that boyfriend. We dated a few months, of him saying that and kind of cracking open the door more. It was peaked a little before, but he really pushed it open. And I went into a career path of air traffic controller. I am a certified air traffic controller from Lewis University. And that didn't pan out, but it got me to tell my dad I'm considering a different career. Once I graduated, my father fired me via text message and said, your replacement starts today. You have 90 days to train her. And so on the 90th day, I left, didn't say goodbye, and I've not spoken to or seen my father since. I say all this to then mention I went on a 3-month sabbatical of living in a car. I purchased a used SUV from a friend, and I put a twin mattress in the back, and I traveled the country because who the F was Lisa? I couldn't have told you, because who I was is who my dad wanted me to be. Who I was is who my dad had approved me to be. How I dressed, the color of my hair, the way I did my makeup, the way I showed up, as a human had been semi distorted by this man's preferences of how I behaved. And coming from a child of narcissistic parents, not ideal. So I cried for 3 months while traveling the country alone. I had my 2 little pups at the time, trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted to do. And I came back and I decided that I wanted to be a hypnotherapist. And I reached out to a woman who was trained by the National Guild of Hypnosis. I had known hypnosis was successful and productive because around the time that I had dated the other gentleman with the air traffic control career, I had an eating disorder. I had been diagnosed as celiac. I was not eating gluten, and if I did accidentally eat gluten, I would become so physically ill that it would knock me out. It would be exorcism type symptoms, sometimes going to the emergency room. And so I became afraid of food. So when you lose weight and you get skinny, you start modeling, and modeling agents, this isn't a shock, they want you to be skinnier. And I was modeling in New York City. I had an agency there, and they just kept saying, lose more weight, lose more weight, lose more weight. And so I leaned into that, and I was eating calories a day and exercising for 2.5, 3 hours a day, and miserable. And he also suggested, this gentleman, Michael, it ended terribly, and we were not good for each other. But now that I'm reflecting back, thank you, Mr. Michael. You have been very helpful in the life of Lisa. So he was like, I think you might have an eating disorder. You might want to go see someone about that. And so I did, and that therapist recommended hypnotherapy. And I used the hypnotherapy. It had helped me immensely. And so after my voyage around America, I decided I wanted to move to Chicago and become a hypnotherapist. And so I did. And I moved into a building that I'm looking at right now. I can see it. It's like a block away. And it was really hard financially because I didn't have a lot of money. When I was traveling, my friend had took over my mortgage. So that was being covered, and my only overhead was gas and food because I had already purchased the car outright for a few $1,000s. I reached out to this woman who I'm still slightly in connection with and said, I want to be certified. I want to be a hypnotherapist. What made me open to hypnotherapy was a gentleman, Steve Tubman. This is his book. I highly recommend it. I've read it a few times. He did a stage hypnosis in front of me where he got people to be able to forget their name, do crazy actions on a stage, and perform. I wasn't into that, but it did help me understand the power of someone saying something to your mind and being able to kind of lead and guide. Now, I say this not to scare you. Hypnosis is not scary. Yes, many of us have seen the movie Get Out, and there's some crazy things that you can do with hypnosis, but it's my understanding, especially being certified, trained, and educated, that you cannot change the mindset of someone that doesn't wish to change. So I, since getting certified and taking on clients, had probably 100 fiancés or wives or girlfriends reach out to me and say, I want to hire you to help me change my boyfriend, husband, fiancé. And I would say, girl, if he doesn't want it, I can't force it. If he doesn't want to make the change himself, I can't force someone. You have to want it. You have to want it, but have like blocks in front of it that you can't see through and you're kind of blurry and hazy at. So this is supposed to be short and I'm getting long-winded. Let me wrap it back. Okay. So I hire this woman. I reach out to this woman and I say, I want to get certified in hypnosis. She says, okay, well, I do groups once a week over, I don't even know, 12 weeks or something long. And I was like, I don't have time for that. Like, I had no money. I had no career. I had no way to sustain my life. I was like, I'm going to pay you extra. I want you and only you 8 hours a day, full time. Like, I want to get this certification stat. Like, this is going to change my life. And how did I know this was going to change my life? Because it did. how did I know? But I'm so glad that I followed that and listened to that, because here we are today. So I went and met with her, and the very first day we're sitting in her office, and she starts telling me a story. Now, she just was sitting across from me, a normal woman using her hands talking. I noticed nothing, and she told me a story about how she got into hypnosis. And this story resonates with me. I just got the tingles, shivers all over, because this story resonates with me, and I still think about this story on the regular, and I referenced this story, and I wanted to share this story with you. She had been in a fight. Excuse me, I may not remember all the details precisely, because it has been about 12 years that I heard the story. So this is the synopsis of it. She had gotten into a fight with a boyfriend. They were in college, out in the boondocks where I'm from, which there's nothing but corn and expressways and some cows spotted around. And she was driving emotionally. I don't remember if she was angry or crying. She was driving emotionally down the expressway and somehow lost control, skidded out, flipped the car, and dragged the car with her arm hanging outside of the car window and taking off a ton of her arm. And she awoke, chills. She awoke in a hospital bed, and they said, look, you were in a car accident. You've probably lost sensation in your lower arm. We're going to cut it off. We're going to amputate you. And she said, wait. Can you just let me try to meditate and heal myself? I got so many shivers right now. She was like, can I sit with myself and speak meditatively, positively to my arm to heal my arm? And she's telling me this story, and I'm looking at her arm, and she's only missing like the tips of, I believe, 1 or 2 fingers. So she's telling me that the hospital was going to chop off her arm because they believed that it was too far gone and they just wanted to get her out, right? And she said, no. I want to work positively with my mind to heal my arm. And that woman did it, okay? So I can't contain the amount of energy I feel about mindset, about programming, about your beliefs, about what you say to yourself. What you believe in here is what you create here. We are all living in our own reality of what we believe the universe to be. We believe this is a pen. We believe this is a battery. We believe this is delicious decaf coffee. We believe certain things about our environment that we created. If you were to hand this to a cave person, they're not going to understand that this writes. If you handed this to a senior citizen, they're probably not going to know that this goes into a camera. So she's telling me this story about her hand, her arm, and I'm just enamored. She starts explaining the whole theory and science, and I get so educated and learned so much, and we immediately start taking in clients. She had posted a Craigslist ad, and we had strangers come in, and she would start the session, and then she would have me take over. And because I have the intuitiveness to kind of connect to people and read their vibration and kind of know how they're feeling about a situation, how they're feeling about themselves, what their current emotional state is, I was able to really hone in with each person very quickly. I took to hypnosis very quickly. Not just because of that, but also because I had had it done to me for a very powerful shift with an eating disorder. So I knew that it worked. This woman is sharing an insane story about how it worked for her. And now I'm meeting with people where I can see their blocks. When I look at them and they're saying that they feel insecure about their job or their relationship or being a parent or yada, 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 whatever it is, I can see what little rock boulder they have that they're kind of banging their head against, and I can help take their hand and guide them around it, or help them bash through it, or help them climb under it or over it, whatever. I was able to very successfully and productively help people get through blockages. I've helped a range of ages. I've helped preteen children who were adopted and were very chaotic and feeling like they didn't belong because their parents had neglected them and left them at a shelter, and someone had, adopted them, but they didn't feel like that held any value because their real parents didn't want them. And I completely changed the family structure. And the mom came back later and was like, I don't know what you did, but my entire family life is different. And I'm so thankful for you. Like, I've helped people who were in their 50s who got over things that happened to them in their childhood that they were having repetitive nightmares about and having limiting beliefs about that. And the long list of the variety of people that I've helped and healed with that, but it's just your mindset. We all need a little cheerleader sometimes. And I do believe that we all need a coach. I have coaches. I have coaches for my spiritual parts. I have coaches for my emotional parts. I have coaches for my business parts. I don't see anything wrong with having someone that you pay in your corner to tell you, keep going. Because let's not forget, a lot of times our friends don't want us to change. A lot of times our family, they want us to stay in the box that they know. And when you change your physique, when you change the way you light up, when you release trauma and pain, that scares people. Because you look at things differently, you have better boundaries, you have better standards, you take things more seriously, and your life usually gets better. And if your life gets better, then your friend feels insecure that theirs isn't getting better, right? I really wanted to mention this story to you. I'm not finished. There's a little bit snippet left that I've referenced in a different video that I want to full circle this. So I'm meeting with her, I'm training with her. Again, at the time, I'm so unsure of what this is and why I'm doing this and how this is gonna help me. And I'm learning so much, but what I don't realize is my number one client is going to be myself. Tingles. What I did, happenstance. I went for a walk one day, just wandering around Chicago, and I wandered into the Washington Street Library or whatever it's called. I don't know, Washington Library? Herald. It's called the Harold Washington Library. And I wandered in, and first of all, the architecture of the building just like took my breath away, and I just felt called to going into this castle of a church of a whatever holy land of books and education. And I went to the self-help area, and I was like, I think I should change. I think I should change who I am, because I was devastated that my father had fired me after I had been so loyal for 14 years, working for peanuts, running his company as a VP. I was lost that my mom didn't want to have a relationship with me because of my alcoholic stepfather. Like, how did I lose out on her because he's toxic? And I didn't have a relationship with my brothers because they were very loyal to my mom. And I was pretty much alone. We didn't have a large family. I had an aunt and an uncle. You're never really that close. I had a cousin. We weren't that close. All of them lived in different states. I didn't have anybody close. I didn't have any cheerleaders. And so I became my best cheerleader. I became my number one cheerleader. And I walked into that library. I said, how do I get a library card? They said, fill out this form, show us a copy of your lease. I pulled it up on my phone. They said, we need a utility bill. I logged into my electric account. I said, here's my electric bill. They said, here's your library card. I got 2 of those fabric bags that you get at the grocery store for your groceries, and they were full, like over the top of the thing, each bag. And I carried those books home. And I walked, it's gotta be, wow, let me look it up. Because remember, I lived a block away, so it's basically the same. It's a 30-minute walk. So I should give you miles or kilometers or something, like that's, okay, so it's 1.1 mile. And I remember carrying those books. Now, why didn't I take a cab? I don't know. I think I just was in such a place of punishing myself, of hating myself, of feeling less than about myself, that I was carrying those books like I had been carrying the limiting beliefs of my life. And I just was, you know, when you're in a rut, when you're in depression, when you're in a deep, dark, down place, you feel heavy. And so those books were like part of my aesthetic at the time, unfortunately. I mean, I know you see me like this now and you're like, what? But yeah, there was a point in time where I was dark, heavy, sad. I would let every garbage truck of a man talk to me. There was no boundaries. I had no standards. I had been abused and neglected and really emotionally manipulated. And I had been fucked up by those that were supposed to love me the most. And was just literally alone, trying to figure out how to do my life. Didn't really have friends. I just moved to a new city. So I just was really, really isolated and alone. So these books were going to be my friends. I had always loved reading growing up. So I go home and I have this genius idea. I am going to write out in these notebooks all the negative traits that I wish to hypnotize myself from. And so I did. When I tell you at the time, I had no idea what I was doing, but that groundwork is how this channel is possible. Because without getting certified, without having the eating disorder even, because I wouldn't have known about hypnosis. So without getting celiac disease, which I wish I didn't have, I wouldn't be in the place that I am. So everything is I believe, kind of blueprinted out in our life journey. And there's ways that you can get cheat codes and accelerate things and move through life faster. And there are many of us who are stuck and we're sitting. And it's scary. It's scary to make a change. It's scary to change who you are. It's scary to put in the work and cry and relive really sad moments and trauma, and to sit by yourself on a couch and process your feelings, talk about your feelings, connect to your feelings, make your feelings a part of yourself. Because I think that's a really big thing that we don't do, is we don't allow our feelings to be a part of who we are. We like hide from them and pretend that we don't have those feelings. I hypnotized myself. I would take those books, put the notes in these journals, and I would record in my voice memo a hypnosis to myself. And then I would stick in some ear pods, the corded ones, because this was 12 years ago, and I would usually make myself a bath. And I would sit in the dark with the hypnosis in my mindset with my eyes closed, just soaking it all in, literally. And nobody told me to do that. That was just the direction that I took. And I soon after got certified to be a real estate agent. And I started cutting out toxic relationships and not dating and focusing on my career. I built myself a baby empire. Now, I use the empire term loosely. I'm definitely not a Kardashian, but I got myself out of the money blocks that I had, the spiritual blocks that I had, the physical blocks that I had. I reprogrammed and rewrote who I wanted to show up as. And I reference all this because in a few weeks, I'm launching a program where I want to do the same for you. I want to meet with you Monday for about an hour and a half, 2 hours for 6 weeks, and have you write out your pain points, help you guided meditation around those roadblocks and speed bumps and boulders, help you breath work out the trauma and heal and release, help you create who the new version of you is to be. And you could be sitting here saying, I don't need that. I'm great. I'm in the most, ideal place in my life with every aspect. I think we can always be learning and growing and healing and changing. Personally, when I look back to who I was, photos of myself 3 to 6 months ago, I'm like, wow. Because I mentally can see the shift and the growth that healing provides. And it's interesting that every new version of myself every few months, I look back and I'm like, wow, she had no idea how much more she had to learn. So I say to you, my friend who thinks everything's figured out, you may have more to learn. I'm gonna have some exercises, some pre-exercises before each call. There will be some supplemental books that I will recommend that you purchase that are all like 20 bucks, very reasonably priced, that have been life-changing for me. That will be a part of the program. I'm really looking forward to getting back to my hypnotherapy life. I transitioned out and be really focused on real estate for a while, and I will still be doing real estate. I think things are going to be pretty great. I'm getting visions of where I will be in the next 6 to 12 months. And I'm really excited to bring you along on the journey with me and to lead by example and show up for you the way I'm asking you for you to show up for yourself. I personally believe we can all thrive. We've all had we have all had some trauma, but I've had my own fair share. I'm on a hero's journey, which spiritually, it's been explained to me that I am on one of the hardest life paths with the most debauchery that I could have signed up for. And it was explained to me that I did that so that I could know how to help my community, how to help you thrive, how to help you clear cobwebs, move boulders, break through, and live your best life. Can't wait to get started. I'll have information below. Reach out to me if you have any other questions. Please feel free to reach out. It'll be a 4 to 6 week course as of now. I definitely am I'm in contact with some companies now about building a community platform where all the calls will be hosted. I'll have additional videos similar to YouTube, but more detailed and in-depth and educational in the community, and then there'll be a forum where you all can connect with each other, because I really feel that those that have done the work and have healed need a better place to show up for each other. We don't really have social platforms other than toxic ones. So I'd love to create a community for those friends that have connected to me, that we've worked together, and you know, maybe we travel the world together as well. Wouldn't that be fun to like meet in Paris together and have croissants? I love that so much. So my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. The beautiful positive comments that y'all have been leaving below my previous videos genuinely melt my heart, and a few times have made me happy cry. And I just really want to let you know that your support is so motivating and nurturing, and provides me with such a vibe, such a boost. It's almost like you're the cheerleaders that I never had. I just had that aha moment now. That's super beautiful. Wow. Okay. Can't wait to share and connect and grow and learn and heal and empower you, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.